Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Meadsy69 and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Lorraine 40T. Now this, I absolutely adore this tank. Just like the Peugeot, I really do like this tank. I think it's a really good tank with a 4-shell auto loader. It's not an auto reloader, it is the auto loader. So it's not as fun as the auto reloaders, and because you've got 4 shells, I mean, the drum reload is really long. It is really long. So you are out of the game for quite a while. And that doesn't seem, I mean, yes, there is some situations where you would just love to shoot because people were crossing, like tanks are crossing, you've got shots like here. But it doesn't really affect, it's not as bad as you think. It's not as bad as you think, but this tank goes 60 kilometers an hour. It does go 60 kilometers an hour. So if you have to relocate when you are on that 20-second drum reload, you can do it pretty quickly, and you can do it really, really quickly. You just have to. I wouldn't go YOLO. It's definitely a support tank. It's definitely not a tank to go front line where everyone looks at you and you get absolutely ripped apart. It's definitely a support tank. Sit behind your mediums, sit behind your heavies, mostly your mediums. It's a medium tank. It goes 60 kilometers an hour. That's light tank speed. Sit behind them. Don't be front line. Let the enemy focus on your team, so you can just be sitting at the back or sitting behind them, not at the back, just farming some damage. And because you have that 4 shells in your magazine, you can kill steal. You can really kill steal very, very good, because I mean 4 shells, 2.5 seconds in between each shell, so it's not a massive reload. The speed, as I've said, is really good. It has 8 degrees of gun depression. Because it is an auto loader, the DPM isn't, I mean, look at that shot. I had to hit the gun on that tank, didn't I? Because it's a French tank, it's an auto loader, the DPM isn't great. I mean, the DPM's worse than the Peugeot. It's like, this is about just over 1900 DPM. So the DPM really isn't nothing special. The armor, there's nothing. I mean, you can get the troll bounces on your turret, but you can't really rely on the bounces. And a lot of people will shoot HE at you. You are literally a HE magnet. Maybe not so much the front. Maybe an ISU or a Baltic might be able to hit you frontally with HE. But definitely almost anything can HE you from the sides or the rear. So you have to... It's a thinking tank. I would say it is a thinking tank. Now, this game, I can see that the E75TS is in a bit of trouble. We are on 955 supremacy points, and I know he's not going to stay alive too much longer. So my main focus now is that Baltic, and now just to stay alive. I know I can't take out this Tiger. I know I can't take out the Lerva, so I'm not going to risk anything. I'm just going to go for the win. At least that was just a nice, easy Klobanov. I like them. 3k damage, I mean, not too bad. They are frustrating. I don't actually like winning like that, but it is an easy Klobanov. It is an easy first class, and we still make 90,000 credits. So it's a really good credit earner. For the price of this tank, 8,000 or 8,500 gold, I think that's a really, really good price. Really good price. Especially if you get both of the tanks together. But even if you don't want to get both tanks together, it's still a good price for this on its own. I think last time it was around 10k or something like that. The first time it was like 15k or something like that. So 8,000, 8,500 gold, I think it's a pretty good price. The accuracy seems pretty good. The penetration isn't that good on this tank, so you will find yourself shooting some pramo. And if you come up against tanks like Baltics or things with no armor, definitely load up some HE. You have 4 shells, remember, you have 4 shells. So if you clear a tank, because of the reload is so long, if you manage to clear a tank, I mean, we get a nice high roll there. If you manage to clear a tank with only 1 or 2 shells, just double tap your ammo bar and go for the full reload if you've got no shells, because the worst thing, or the thing you don't want to happen, is to clear a tank with 1 or 2 shells, say 2 shells or even 3 shells, and just keep 1 shell in your chamber to wait to use it. Just double tap the ammo bar, go for the full reload, make sure you've got support, either support or cover, because if another medium rushes you, then they are going to out DPM you without a doubt. Almost anything that comes up against you will out DPM you. Now, I think one of the biggest frustrations with this tank and with the reload being so long, you're going to see it here. I mean, I'm going to manage to get behind this Ferdinand, and I'm still reloading. Not long. I mean, I've just reloaded there, so there's 1 shot. Luckily, my team is helping. There's 2 shots. I'm just going to go around. I mean, I can take a shot. There's only 2 tanks left alive at the moment. There's another shot, a nice high roll, and we are going to get the 3rd shot. And now, he's a 1 shot, but we have to wait 20 seconds. We have to just circle him for 20 seconds to be able to take him out. And at the moment now, he is the last tank. The best thing with this tank, with it being the 4 shells, you don't forget, when you have 3 shots that hit, you get a high roll. So you almost, if you can pen every single one of your shots, you're going to get a high roll every single reload, pretty much. And it's not guaranteed, obviously. You're not guaranteed to get a high roll, but the chances are a lot higher. That game, I mean, nearly 3.5k damage, and we finished with over 100,000 credits. So it's a really, really good credit earner. Now, this game, when you're top tier, this tank, like a lot of tanks, I'm not going to lie, like a lot of the tanks in the game, there's not that many that are actually, when you're bottom tier, is still really, really good, apart from most tier 9s. There's a couple of tanks, don't get me wrong, but there's not a lot of tanks that when you're bottom tier is better. I mean, the Waffle, for instance, that could be bottom tier, top tier, that it doesn't really matter. And you get things like E75s and stuff like that, where, of course, this, because of the penetration isn't the greatest, this is definitely much better tank. It's a much better tank when you are top tier coming up against those tier 7s. Now, I do not know what this KV4's problem is with me. He has a tank right next to him, and for some reason, he only wanted to know me. It happens a lot. It happens almost, I'd say, every other game. Every other game, that kind of shit happens to me. But you just got to deal with it. You got to deal with it. It's my fault. I wanted to do YouTube. I wanted to become this famous What Blitz guy that does YouTube. So I have to pay and I have to suffer the consequences. So when this tank, it's not, I wouldn't say it's about damage. I wouldn't say it's about damage. So if you see tanks, if you see people driving this, don't be surprised if they end up on like 4 kills or 5 kills with only like 1,000 damage, because that is what this tank is best for. It's best for just clearing up those tanks. And if you've got 4 shells, if you are working, say, in a platoon with someone in an ISU 152, for instance, that does big alpha, I mean, you can pump out, or you can dish out a couple of your rounds, and then your ISU, if you're working together, can dump a shot, and that's him gone. That is that tank gone in the matter of seconds. So just don't be surprised if you see these in game and they don't have much damage, but they do have a lot of kills, because it's definitely a kill stealer of a tank, and that is how I think you should be playing this tank. Take the lower hit point tanks, clear them. Doesn't matter about damage. I mean, yes, damage is a good stat to have, high damage, but it's no point having high damage if you don't have high win rate, win rate. So definitely go for those one shots, and if you can clear tanks, clear them. You have to. That is how you should be playing this tank. Support your heavies, support your mediums. Do not go front line. You haven't got the penetration, you haven't got the DPM, so just support your team, and you will find this tank is actually a pretty good tank. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'm Meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.
with